Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf, BECHOROS Daf Chafei. We are holding 5 lines from the top. V'ha'amar Rav Chia bar Ashi. We have a question on yesterday's discussion where we concluded that Rav, in fact, paskins, like the opinion of Rabbi Yossi ben HaMeshulam, mentioned in our Mishnah, that there is no hesitation in pushing aside some of the hair of the bechor, some of the wool, to give access to the sheikha to do the shechita on the neck of the animal, even if inadvertently there will be some hair that will be ripped out and plucked off the animal. And this is in line with the shita of Rabbi Yehuda, shita of Rabbi Shimon, that davar she'enai miskaven is mutter, something which can result in unintended consequences, is permissible since it's not his intended objective. Likewise, in this case, his goal is not to share the wool or the hair off the bechor, rather just to get access for sake of shechita. It's a davar she'enai miskaven and it's mutter. Likewise, the Gemara added that on Yom Tov as well, one is allowed to conduct himself in this manner, push aside the hair in order to facilitate the shechita of the animal on Yom Tov for Simchas Yom Tov. And this too was quoted in the name of Rav. So it's pretty much on the same track, based on the same reason of davar she'enai miskaven is mutter. Ask the Gemara, is that so, that according to Rav, one may engage in an act which may result in a melacha which was unintended? Davar she'enai miskaven is mutter. 5 lines from the top. V'amar Rav Chia bar Ashi, he quotes Amar Rav directly. He says, Halach Rabbi Yehuda. We follow Rabbi Yehuda, who holds just the opposite. Davar she'enai miskaven is asur. Rav Chanan bar Ami, Amar Shmuel. Shmuel is the one who says halacha. We paskin like Reb Shimon that davar she'enai miskaven, doing an act with unintended melacha consequences, is mutter. For Reb Chia bar Abin Masn B'Legavri, he had a different version without the intermediary names. It's just Rav directly, Rav Amar Lach Rabbi Yehuda, who forbids davar she'enai miskaven, Ushmuel Amar Lach Reb Shimon, who allows it. So clearly Rav does not allow davar she'enai miskaven. So how come it's allowed by the hair plucking of the bechor? You're right, says the Gemara. You're right. Saba Rav. Truthfully, Rav holds davar she'enai miskaven is forbidden, is asur. So how come you can pluck the hair off the bechor? V'toilish, because hand plucking, lav hainu goizes. That doesn't qualify as a formal act of goizes, of sharing, which is asur. Pasuk says like sogois, right? You're not allowed to do a conventional act of sharing, but just hand plucking, that's not called sharing, and therefore it's okay. Or beyond to find the time. So why is it okay on Yom Tov as well? On Yom Tov, the pasuk doesn't specify sharing, as we asked yesterday. Really, it's a malacha regardless. In terms of Shabbos and Yom Tov, it works with different rules. Ultimately, he's detaching something from its source of life. So why is it okay? You know why? True, he is detaching something from its life source, but it's kalachayat in a roundabout, indirect way. It's not the regular, conventional way of doing this. So generally, kalachayat is asur midrabanan, but in this case, he's not really trying to do it, and it's also Simchas Yom Tov, Taisus adds, so it's mutter. Ask the Gemara, really? V'toilish lav hanu goizes? So is plucking hair off not considered an act of goizes? I mean, that's the premise we're working with. V'atanya. We have another brisa back in Mesechus Shabbos. Ha'toilish es ha'konof. If one plucks this big feather off the duck, then he goes and he clips it, trims it down to size. Then he skins, he shears the pulls the the hair, the feathers off the base of the core. Rashi says he smooths out the sides of Murit min Akon Haseir, takes the hair off the side of the side of the feather. So he's liable to 3 chatois. He did 3 malachos. One is for plucking, one is for trimming, and one is for smoothing. You know why 3? Plucking the feather off, that's considered an act of goizes. There you go, even hand plucking is classified as goizes. That's going to be the kasha. And then kaitim, the trimming, chayiv mishum machatech, that's called machatech, which is one of the malachos. Marit. Okay, so kaitim is machatech. Marit chayiv mishum machek. And shearing the hair off the side of the feather, that's memachik. Smoothing leather, smoothing anything is considered memachik. So clearly, hand plucking qualifies as goizes, unlike what we said before regarding the hair off the neck of the bachar. Shani kanaf tainu urchi, very different, because by the kanaf, that's the regular way of plucking. You don't use a tool to pluck the to pull the feather off. So that's the regular conventional way. So it's all relative to the norm, right? So there is the regular way, and therefore it's classified as goizes. Okay, so at this point, we have the Mishnah, our Mishnah. Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam allows the pushing aside of the hair to access the animal, even if inadvertently there will be some plucking done. And Rav as well ruled likewise. He adopted that opinion. And as we concluded, Rav holds davar she'en maskaben is really asur. It's just that Toilish is not goizes. So let's assume it's a two-way street. Rav savar Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam, just as Rav follows Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam regarding the allowance of plucking the bachar's hair. Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam savar Rav, Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam likewise holds like Rav. Let's assume they're both on the same page. That in general, davar she'en miskaven is asur. Really? V'sava Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam davar she'en miskaven is really asur? Is that true? Vatanya of a brisa regarding paraduma, which is meant to be completely black, please completely red. Vatanya, he discovered two hair whose base, so at the base near the skin they're red, but then they develop some blackness. Vatanya shtei saris. Ikar and madam, their base is red, but variation, their tips are mashka, are black. What do you do to save your paraduma? So halachically, if you remove the black element, then you're good to go. Are you allowed to do that? Typically, we don't work or share a carbon animal. Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam, our Tana, what does he say? How does he advise? Goizes b'misparayu bein achoishes. No problem. Take your scissors, clip off the tips without any concerns. And Ataisis explains what would be a concern that perhaps it'll cut a bit more than it needs to, because just the tips, that's okay, that's legal because he's benefiting the paraduma and enabling it for service. But perhaps he will mistakenly cut a bit more. We're not worried about that. It's a davar she'en miskaven. So clearly, Rabbi Yosef ben Meshulam allows one to engage in an act which may generate unintended malacha consequences, in contrast to Rav, who says davar she'en miskaven is asur. Answers the Gemara. Here it's different. Shani paraduma is very different. Labas gizahi. He's not one that typically gets shorn. Rashi says, Ein leparos tzemer. Cows don't have wool; they're not shorn. Hilkach says Rashi le asira begiza. The concept of giza is not applicable. There's no isra of giza on a cow, which is not gizable. La bas gizahi. Really? So a cow or a bull, you're allowed to share their hair? Vatanya. Lo yisavad b'chosherecha. Lo yisagaz b'chotzenecha. Pasuk warns against working with a bull, that's a b'chor, or sharing the sheep, the b'chor sheep. What about sharing the shar, or working with the sheep? What about vice versa? So we have, don't work with the shar. V'tzoyin begiza, don't share the tzoyin. What about vice versa? How do we know litenas amar shal zeh bazeh? How do we know to apply the isra of working with the shar to the goat as well, and vice versa, and shearing of the goat to forbid it by the bull, or the cow, whatever. The extra vav is a connector. Both apply to both. Clearly the Torah forbids shearing even a bull or a cow or paraduma. The reason why I'm not concerned about sharing the paraduma is because it's not really a carbon. It belongs to Bedek HaBayis. It's a possession belonging to Kachim, but it's not really a carbon. So there's no Isra of Giza. Really? V'amar Belazar, he teaches us that even Kachim Bedek HaBayis, even an animal just belonging to the treasury, is Asurin Begiza, but you can't work with them or share them. Midrabanan is only Sudrabanan. In this case, they allow it to facilitate the paraduma. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? This is Rabbanan. Why should we allow it? Says the Gemara, I'll tell you why. There's always a Rabbanan. Shani para. Para is very uncommon. It's very unusual to have a paraduma 10 times in the whole history, right? Lo shchicha is not common. And as we know, Rashi brings umilsa lo shchicha, something which is an uncommon phenomenon. Loi gaz rabbanan, but only applied gzeros and prohibitions on common events, not uncommon situations. So, although generally you don't share even a cow belonging to the treasury, but here it's different. It's an unusual case. It says the Gemara, but why do we have to make this dispensation, this exception? We have a much simpler solution to allow you to shear off the black hair. Ve'lichala comes from the lashon chilul. Convert it to money. Transfer the kedusha of the paraduma to money temporarily, and while the kedusha is removed, now you're free to share it, and then bring the kedusha back. Do chilul on its value, on money, corresponding value, and have the paraduma leave kedusha, and then while in that interim state, you'll share the problematic hair, then you'll reestablish its kedusha. The me'yikar, it's very expensive, hard to put together the $1 million needed to do the chilul. But even if you don't have the exact value, technically you can make chilul even out of $1. The Amar Shmuel, hekdesh of money, have a very expensive hekdesh item, although preferably you should only convert it onto its actual value. But if he does on even a small amount, it works. Shechil, if he makes the chil, he transfers the kedusha, al shavah prut even on a pruta, mechul, it works. So just take a pruta, be mechal the kedusha onto that, snip the hair, and re-sanctify the parah. The answer is Shmuel Shechil. Shmuel truthfully speaks about after the fact, but l'chatchila miyama, does he allow it l'chatchila? So we don't want to get involved in something which is not recommended. So we have a paraduma which has kedusha to a certain extent, but it has black hair. You snip them off because the issue is only d'Rabbanan and it's not a milsa d'shchich. Iba is same. Another solution to this dilemma that we had posed earlier, because it seemed that Rav holds davar she'eino miskaven as aser, and Rabbi Yisrael Meshulam seems to say it's okay. You're right, exactly such. Iba is saying Rav saval Rabbi Yisrael Meshulam. On the one hand, Rav fits with Rabbi Yisrael Meshulam. He adopted his opinion to allow the plucking of the hair off the bechor when necessary, but it's not a two-way street. So although Rav holds davar she'eino miskaven as aser, just here it's an exception because it's not really an act of geizes. Rabbi Yisrael Meshulam was saval Rav. On the other hand, Rabbi Yisrael doesn't hold of Rav's opinion. He holds that davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. So Tailish is really a form of geizes, but the reason why you can do it by the bechor because he's not intending for it. He's not intending to pluck it, just trying to get it out of the way to access it. And the same would apply to the paraduma. Okay, so it's a simple solution to the kasha from paraduma. Okay, so in a nutshell, we have two approaches. The Mishnah says you can push aside the hair to allow the access for the shechita, even if there's going to be some plucking taking place. We have two approaches, either Rav's, which is that unintended is aser, but here it's not considered an act of giza. And the reason why Yom Tov is mutter is because it's k'la'ach hayad, and it's mutter for simchas Yom Tov. The other approach is Rabbi Yisrael Meshulam, according to the second shot, that really davar she'eino miskaven is mutter. So it's an unintended consequence. It's mutter by bechor and by Yom Tov and by paraduma as well. Continues the Gemara. Okay, so even if it involves plucking, you can do it, but you know what, just don't pull the hair away. Leave it embedded and meshed in the surrounding wool so it doesn't appear like you're shearing. This whole allowance is only manually with your hands, but don't use a kli, which is, closer to the real shearing. But the Mishnah seems to say you can use the knife. Take the kaifetz, the knife, and push aside the hair and clear it. And that's a kli. Apparently that's okay. Tini lik kaifetz. Change it to lik kaifetz, meaning you're not using the kli to pluck the hair, but you're doing it manually for the sake of giving access for that knife for shchita. And the Mishnah concludes that just as you can do this for the sake of shchita preparation, likewise to expose a mum and enable it to be shown to the mumcha, to the expert, to certify it. The question is, are we allowing it l'chatchila? You're allowed to actually do the same process for the mum, just as for the shchita, or the Mishnah is just saying, look, we don't recommend it. You're not allowed to abuse the bechor just because you want to analyze the mum and eat it, right? The Mishnah is just saying, but if you did it and there was some plucking and detachment, make sure to leave it in there, so it doesn't appear like you actually took out the wool. Listen to this brisa. So you have the air, the oizen of the bechor, which is enmeshed in here, in wool, and there is apparently some sort of blemish there, which you want to show to the chacham. Rabbi Yossi ben Meshulam Eimer, the same time of our Mishnah, he says, you're allowed to l'chatchila, go ahead, pluck away over there, to show the mum to the chacham. So clearly, he allows it, shma min l'chatchila, that l'chatchila, you're allowed to do this. Amar mora afanam natanina. Take a close look at our Mishnah, you'll see the same thing, the same message being broadcast in our Mishnah. That just like you allowed to do this process for the sake of shchita, the same for the mum. It says v'chein. And now Mishnah adds v'chein hatoilish es haser liris mum. Likewise, plucking to show the mum. My v'chein, what's the significance of the word v'chein? What's the connector? What's the equation? What are we matching? Ilay mishelu zezenros mekaymai. Is it simply going on the point of don't, pull the hair away, leave it enmeshed? So just like when you're accessing for shchita, leave the hair in place. The same with the fellow who did it for the mum. Look, of course. Why would I think that in this case he can do that? Even in the first case where the point was to access for shchita, where the act of shchita which follows that act of clearing confirms that this was merely his intended purpose, to do shchita, not for giza. Still, we're careful, and we warn you against removing the hair, not to leave room for misunderstanding. Lo yizazenu. Certainly, if it's liris makay mum, if it's just to expose it for the mum, in which case it's not readily apparent that his objective is for the mum. Not everybody understands what he's doing. But of course, in that case, it goes without saying, of course he's got to leave it in there. So it goes without saying, why does the Mishnah have to specify? El alab, apparently what the Mishnah is trying to tell us, atoilish, the first point, to allow him to actually move and pluck away the hair if necessary, just as you do it for the shchita, likewise to give access to the mum, shma min l'chatchila, apparently it's allowed l'chatchila, and we're not concerned about people, misconstruing and misunderstanding what he's doing. Shma mina, and that confirms this, that the removal, the pushing aside the hair is allowed to give access for shchita, and likewise to expose the mum, despite the fact it doesn't have the advantage of the shchita, which is the shchita experience, which provides clarity and kind of confirming his intent. Nevertheless, since it's for the purpose of showing the mum, it's allowed as well. Continues the Mishnah. So we've learned and reiterated over and over that one may not use the bechor. The kohen who gets the bechor from Yisrael has to hold on to it until it's ready for akrava. So if it's unblemished, go take it as soon as possible to the Beis HaMikdash. If it's blemished, then you can shecht it privately. But that's it. You can't work with it. You can't share it. So that's Isser Minat Torah. Now, let's say some will just, shed off the, as the time, passes, wool just gets longer, and it just, here and there's some strands that naturally shed off the sheep. So, Midarabanan, you got to keep away from that. The reason being, we're concerned that if we allow you access to those sheddings, we call them sheddings, then a fellow might be inclined to hang on to the bechor for the sake of benefiting from those sheddings. He'll delay, he'll tarry in terms of processing it as a carbon or shechting it for the sake of benefiting from these sheddings, which will happen over time. And that's a problem because ultimately he might mistakenly use the animal for his own purpose. Gizav avoida. If it's hanging around too long, he might just, forgetfully go and approach the animal like any other and use it. So we want you to attend to it as soon as possible, process it as soon as possible, get it out of the way, don't hang it around. So we disallow the use of these sheddings. Now, let's say there was some sheddings, and he put it aside for safekeeping, and ultimately he did shchita on the bechor, which is a balmum, or the bechor died. What happens to the sheddings? That's going to be topic of the next machlokes, of the next sugya coming up. This is going to be the subject of the big machlokes, famous machlokes between Akavya ben Ma'alalel and the Chachamim, which according to some shittas led to a very contentious, so to speak, experience where actually he was put into nidu, into the form of cherem, because he held on to his opinion in face of the majority view which opposed him. So it seems like it was a very, very substantive machlokes. Here goes. Sa'ar bechor balmum. We have the hair or the sheddings of a bechor which was actually already blemished. Shenashar. So the hair shed. V'nicha b'chalan. He put it in the cubby on the side. He didn't use it. V'achakach shachta. Then he shechted the animal. Shechted the bechor. Now the shechita allows you to eat the bechor and its hair and its wool. Does it also allow, the hair, the sheddings sitting in the shelf? Akavya ben Malal Matri says it's okay. The fact is he did shechita, which indicates that he's not hanging around. He's not hanging on to the animal, and there's no concern going forward. Why should we not allow him to use these sheddings that he put aside during the animal's lifetime? So during the animal's lifetime itself, don't use it, because then he might be tempted. But once we see the shechita, you see that he's looking to take care of the bechor quickly and use even the sheddings. They say no, don't use it. So anything that shed during the animal's lifetime is off limits forever. And Rashi explains again, the reason is on the top line. Rashi says the isharis tzeman isharis mechanics going to allow the use of the sheddings. Asil Shui might be tempted to hang on to the bechor, leave it around. Today, for the purpose of shatosh or tzemach shah, it should keep on shedding, and you could have those strands. What's the problem with that? Says Rashi, it might cause a problem, a pitfall. She might shear it and work with it, which is not allowed. Upsula Magdashim, Asir B'Gizavoid, even a bechor which has a mum, still maintains some kedusha status. You can't work with it, you can't share it. Because in Perkel El, as we learned back in the first parak, Tizbach, V'Lagiza, shecht it and eat it, but don't share it. Divid Rabbi Yehuda. So this was Rabbi Yehuda's version of events, that even when he did the shechita, we have the shita of the Chachamim, that it's asr. Amal Rabbi Yossi. Comes Rabbi Yossi, says, no way. In this case, that he did shechita, which indicates that he's looking to process the carbon, there's no reason for the Chachamim to forbid it. All agree it's okay. By shechita, all agree the hair that shed is okay. Amal Rabbi Yossi, loy bazeh hitar akav malalo. It's not in this case where we did shechita, we have the machlokes, Akabi who says mutter, and the opposer says asr. No, all agree it's okay. Ella. Beser b'chor balmum shenashar. V'nicha b'chalon, rather, the machlokes is by these sheddings that happened, v'achakach meis, which was followed by the bechor dying, in which case the whole bechor is now asr. You have to bury it with all its wool. Likewise, the wool that was in the shelf was asr. Because in this case, we don't have an indication that he's looking to process his bechor quickly. So in this case, we're concerned that if we allow sheddings, he might leave it around, etc. So that's the sole, circumstance on which we have the machlokes. But in this case, akavya b'malal matir v'cham oisr. So again, according to Rabbi Yehuda, machlokes is by shechita. According to Rabbi Yossi, only by misa. One more point in the Mishnah: tzamar hameduvlol b'bechor. So we have a bechor which has some a strand or two of the wool, which is not embedded, it's sticking out. So on the live sheep, you have some hair that's sort of sticking out, not consistent with the rest of the sheet of wool. So is that considered shed? In which case it would be also like the Rabbanon, or do we sort of consider like the regular rest of the wool, and it's going to have the same status as the rest? So it depends how closely aligned he is with the rest. If he looks like part of the rest of the wool, mutter, then it's okay. But if it stands out, it's us. Now let's just backpedal a bit to Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi says that when the Bechor Balmum was shechted, Akavya permits the sheddings and the Chachamim forbid. Rabbi Yossi responds by saying, no! In a case where he shechted, Akavya was not mater. Now it almost sounds like what he's indicating is that by shchita it's worse. So if the Bechor was shechted, Akavya would actually consider the sheddings to be asr, despite the fact that later on Rabbi Yossi says that by the animal dying, Akavya allows the shedding. If anything, it's counter logic, because as we said, by shchita it indicates his intention to get on with business. So if anything, that's more lenient. So you mean by shchita Akavya forbids the sheddings, and by misa he allows it? Hashta b'meis shari. Look, even by the Bechor which died naturally, but you don't see the fellow inclined to looking after his animal that just died, still he allows the sheddings without concern that he might, it might be encourage him to delay. Shachta mibai, of course, if he shechted it, which shows that he's looking to tend to it, of course, there's no reason to disallow the sheddings. Ella, rather, what Rabbi Yossi meant to say is that by shchita, because of the mitigating factor, the indication that he intends on getting on with business is a reason to allow it according to all shittas. There's no machlekes there. Ella, loiba ze hitar akavya chacham oisrim, meant to say is by shchita, there's no machlekes. Rather, chacham allow it. Ella b'shachta divrei hakol is mutter, shari, ki pligi b'meis. It's only when the animal died where you have no indication that he was looking to get on with business. In this case, chacham say, leave the sheddings alone, because that might encourage him to delay even further. And Akavi says, look, it's over, use it. Okay, Amar Vyasi, Amar Shlokish. You should know that this whole discussion is only by a Bechor, which is the Baal Mum. So the Baal Mum is, on its way to Shchita anyways, not concerned about, perhaps is less reason to be concerned about the sheddings, about him being tempted to keep the animal around. That's why according to Akavi it's mutter, etc. But if it's an unblemished Bechor, over there's good reason to be concerned and disallow the use of the sheddings, because, as Rashi explains, he wants to keep it around to wait till it gets a mum so he can eat it in his backyard. There are lots of motivating factors here to have him keep the animal around as long as possible to benefit from the sheddings. So in this case, all agree it's asr. There's no question. If it's a Bechor tam that had these sheddings, it's asr. So even later on, when it gets a mum and you shecht, the sheddings remain asr. Furthermore, says Rish Lakish, even by a Bechor Baal Mum, where we have this allowance, but that's only when it was confirmed by an expert who certified it as a official, formal, mum, which allows the shchita, which gives a green light for shchita. In this case, it's on the way to shchita. Akavi says, you know what? It's on the way to shchita. It's not going to sit around very long. We're not concerned about him keeping it around for the sheddings. So when we speak about the sheddings of the shchita being of the Bechor Baal Mum being mutter after shchita, that's only when there was an official certification that he's a Baal Mum, and we have a green light for shchita. Amar Asher Shlakish Machlekes b'sheitira mumcha. So the machlekes, Akavia, who allows these sheddings, right? Whether after shchita or after misa, according to Reisi's version. Either way, we're not going to get involved in those particulars. But in general, Akavia allows the sheddings of Baal Mum. That's only Amar Masar Shlokish Machlokes. That's only b'sheitira mumcha. We have an expert on board who gave a green light for shchita. And the machlokes is explained as follows. The Mar Sava Gazrin, Chacham say, look, even so, if we allow the sheddings, he might diddle-daddle. Dilmas l'shui, he might leave the animal around for the sheddings, and that's going to cause all kinds of complications. So Mar Sava Gazrin, Kavi Malal says, no. Once we have that certification, he has the green light to shchita, why would he keep it around? But if there was no expert weighing in and giving us the green light, even though you noticed the mum, but it wasn't officially labeled as a mum, all agree you can't enjoy the sheddings, because now it's treated like a halach, like an unblemished bechor, which all agree we don't allow you access to the sheddings because you might be inclined to leave it around, you wanted to get a mum, so you can eat it in the backyard, etc. So the sheddings are us. Masar Rav Sheshes. I have a question on you, says Rav Sheshes. Without the expert opinion, all agree the sheddings is asur. Masar Rav Sheshes. Bali mumin oisr b'kol shem. So let's assume we're speaking about animals. You have animals which are blemished. You have a blemished animal that got mixed up with unblemished animals. Now, can I take an animal for a carbon? Asur b'kol shem, even if it's 1 in many. 1 in 100 is asur. Rabbi Yossi Omer yivukar. Rabbi Yossi says, no problem, just check it out, investigate, inspect the animal. What does that mean? The question was asked, well, what does he mean? My yivukar. What does he mean yivukar? Go check the animals until you locate the blemished one and get it out of the mix. That's Rabbi Yossi's position. And allow the rest. Machlal Tanakama Omar Lav. So what is Tanakama disagreeing? You shouldn't do that? Why shouldn't you do that? A very simple solution. Just get him out and allow the rest. V'Amar V'Nachman, Amar Avoy, he comes and explains. We're not speaking about animals, no. We're speaking about pieces of wool, sharings. Hacha begizas b'chor balmom askinan. We're speaking about sharings of a b'chor which had been blemished. They got mixed into regular sharings of regular animals. Shenus arba begizah chulin. Okay, so we have machlokes. What to do with this mix? Tanakama says everything's asur, and Rabbi Yossi says no, don't worry about it. There's an easy solution. Well, what do they mean? Uman Tanakam Rabbi Yudahi. Who's the Tanakam who says the whole mix is asur? There's no way to permit this bit of sheddings of the bachar. There's no solution to it. You know who's speaking? Rabbi Yudahi. That's Rabbi Yudah in the Mishnah. Damur told us nishchatu asur rabbanon, that even if you proceeded and did shchita on the bachar, rabbanon still disallow the sheddings. So according to Rabban, there's no way out. There's no way to permit these sheddings. So you're stuck, and the whole mix is asur. However, Rabbi Yossi disagrees. Who found a solution that's in line with his version in the Mishnah? Damar who says nishchatu. If ultimately the bachar was shechted, which shows that he means business. Sharabban, even Rabban would allow using the sheddings after the shechita. Okay? Uktani yivukar. How did Rabbi Yossi articulate his position? Yivukar. Examine the animal. My yivukar, what does that mean? Check him out. Lav, imum kavo, imum iverhu. So right now, after the mix-up happened with the hair, go quickly to the sheep, the bachar, and check him out and confirm whether it's a mum kavua, it's a permanent mum which allows shechita, in which case after shechita everything becomes mutter retroactive, right? Or it's just a passing blemish which doesn't qualify, in which case you're stuck. But if it's been determined right now as a permanent blemish, even though there was no expert on board initially, that's irrelevant. You don't need that factor at play. So again, we seem to have a halacha that the sheddings of a bachar balmum can theoretically become mutter down the road if later on you show it to the expert who confirms and you shecht it. So now everything is mutter. Unlike Rish Lakish, who preconditioned it with a mumcha, already having given his expert opinion. Amar Rava, no, loy, livukar. Livukar means you have to confirm that there was an expert already who gave a green light before the shedding occurred. Loy, yivukar hitira mumcha in. If the mumcha already was matter before, and viloy, otherwise loy. Which is in line with Rish Lakish. that even the heter of shchita on the sheddings is only if there had already been a heter, a green light issued by the mumcha, which allows you to do the shchita immediately, and there's now no reason. We're not concerned that you'd be inclined to delay and hold on to the animal and come to all kinds of complications. Okay, when Rabban went up to Eretz Yisrael, Amr Lashmaitis, he presented, this pshat, Rav Nachman's pshat, that the mix-up occurred to wool, not to animals. He presented Kamei Rabbi Yirmiyah, who was unimpressed. Amar, he says, Bavli, the pshat, these silly Babylonians, should the Asbar, the Chashim, because they're dwelling in this darkened, low land over there. Amri Shmaitim Chashkan, they're presenting dark and unclear and uncorroborated, unsubstantiated, explanations. Is that what the Brisa means? Brisa is talking about animals, not pieces of hair. Lo yishmilechu. I'll explain to you what's going on. Yes, it was animals. It was one bechor. Sorry, it was one blemished animal mixed into unblemished animals. Tanakama says the whole mix is asur. Basically says yivukar, examine, check. What does he mean? Lo yishmilu. Haven't they heard? He explained that this machlokes involves animals. Machlokes b'shabadak le'matzah. So there was one blemish, one balmum, mixed in with unblemished, and he knows he has to locate the blemished one, otherwise he's in trouble. And he looked around, he didn't find any blemish. Miraculously, they're all unblemished. What happens now? Tanakam says you're in trouble. Until you find him, you have to presume that he's somewhere in there, and Rabbi Yisrael says no. Look, you did your job, you did your best, you looked, it's not there, it's not there. And interestingly, we find a similar machlokes regarding tumah, in terms of, what the extent of your responsibility is. The machlokes that we have here is beplukta, links to a different machlokes between the Reb Meir and Rabbanan regarding tumah, that disappeared in a field, this none. So he looked around, he didn't find it. Shir Meir, keep on looking, kol davar shahay b'cheskas tumah, something which had a status of tumah, it retains that status until proven otherwise. It retains its tumah until you discover the actual tumah. Until you do that, keep on looking. I would say no. You do your best, and that's it. You dig down until you find bedrock or the psula until the undisturbed earth. You know that past that point, you're safe. And that's Rabbi Yisi's opinion here as well. Look, you inspect all the animals. There's no balmum. You can use them. Rabbi Asi Amar, Rabbi Echon, has a different pshat in the machlokes. Machlokes shebadak umatzah. So he has the balmum animal mixed in with the other ones, and he looked around, he located one animal that's a blemished animal. Question: should we consider that to be the balmum? Or does he have to keep on looking until he gets to the end of the, finishes checking all the animals to confirm there's no balmum other than this one? Rabbi, and this machlokes, in fact, links to another machlokes between Rabbi and Shimon Gamliel. L'sani asada shaved b'kever. So you have a field on which a grave was plowed, so there's tumah there. Nichas b'seicha tummy. If you enter the area, you're tummy. Nimtza b'seicha kever. Suppose you investigated and you located a caver. So you cordon it off and you say, okay, that's the kever that was misplaced, and the rest of the field is okay. We presume that this is, we lay the blame on this kever. So going forward, anybody who enters the area other than this corner is tar. Shania, because I have a right to assume who kever shavad, who kever shenimtza, the one that was lost was found. We don't need to speculate about more possible tumah there. That's his opinion. Sorry, Divrei Rebbe. And likewise, in the case of the balmum animal, so he's looking around, he finds a balmum there. That's it. He lays the blame on that. He attributes it to that. He doesn't have to look further. However, no, you never know. You got to keep on checking and confirm there's nothing else throughout the whole field. Likewise, over here, I know you've come up with a balmum animal, but you never know. Maybe there's another one. You have to keep on checking until you've finished checking them all. So again, we have a brisa with an animal balmum mixed into the rest. Everything is asur. Rabbi says just check. So we have one explanation. We're talking about the sheddings that got mixed up, etc. And we have two more pshatim. One is Rab Chia bar Abba quoting Rabbi Yochanan, that he inspected all the animals with no mum to be found. Do we say, okay, it's gone somehow? Or does he have to keep on looking and be concerned about a Baal mum? That was Rab Chia bar Abba's pshat in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Asi, according to him, we're talking that he did look around and he discovered a Baal mum. Should we blame it on that, or should we be concerned about possibly having more? For Rav Asi, who had the second pshat, my time alam Rav Chia bar Abba, why didn't he go with the first pshat? So he says like this, that wouldn't really apply in the case of the animals. I'll tell you like this, Bishlei megabe tuma, I can understand that in the case of the tumah that was lost in the area, in that case the Chachamim say, look, badak v'lematzi, even though you didn't find anything, but you looked around, you did a good inspection, we assume it's gone. Why? Amar, because it's very possible we can say ba'ir v'natla, a raven came and took it away. So there's a logical explanation to the disappearance of the tumah. Ba'ach v'natla, a mouse came and dragged it away. So we can certify it, even though you haven't really come up with the discovered the tumah. But now a case of the Baal mum leicha also, where did it go? I understand you checked all the animals, but until you find him, he's somewhere in the mix. V'idach, now Reb Chia, who actually was okay with the pshat that was speaking that he checked and didn't find, and still the Rabbi Yisrael says it's okay. What do you mean? Where did it disappear to? V'idach? So the other one responds, here as well, there's a logical explanation to justify permitting the whole mix, because Eimar Mum Rava, maybe it wasn't really such a serious blemish, it was a passing blemish, and it got healed in the interim. So we can attribute it to that, and that explains the shita that allows it. On the other hand, Rav Chia bar Abba, who took the first approach, that was speaking that he looked around, he didn't find it, can we assume it's been healed or not, as opposed to Rav Asi's approach, which was that he looked a little bit, he came up with the Baal mum. The question is, should we lay the blame on that? Should we attribute it to that? Or does he have to keep on inspecting till the end? My time, okay, Ravasi, why didn't he take the Ravasi's approach, the second approach? Amlach says, well, that doesn't really apply in the case of animals. So I'll explain to you why. In the case of the lost grave, Rav Shimon Gamliel says, just because you discovered one doesn't mean this is the one. You have to keep on looking, because in a sadar it's regular to bury people. So just as they buried this fellow, they bury another fellow. So you have to keep on looking. So that makes sense over there. But to apply that by the animals, no. But by animals, even the batkil and v'kaimi. Once you checked and you discovered the given the batkil and v'kaimi, since the behemoths are presumed to be unblemished, the Bad Kilan B'Kaimi, right? We have unblemished animals meant for the Mizbeach, so we know they don't have a mum, right? Is it likely that suddenly all kinds of blemishes arrived? So meaning, yeah, the one that was certainly confirmed to be a blemished animal got mixed in. Okay, you got to worry about that. But now, once you looked around, you found one blemish. Let's assume that's the one. Why should we speculate that there are more? V'idach. Rav Asi says no. It's possible that there are many more. Agav the menachi adadi. Since the animals they bang each other, they gore each other, they're fighting all the time. Shreich b'mum. It's common to have mum in there. So therefore, it's very likely that aside from this one, there are many others. So you can't really know for sure until you confirm by checking all of them to ensure that they're free of blemishes. Okay, so we'll continue answering tomorrow. Bottom line, you're not allowed to share a carbon or a bechor. And if there are sheddings, so it depends. If it's a tam, an unblemished bechor, which is not slated for shechita in the near future, don't use the shedding. We're concerned that if we do, we might be inclined to hang it around, to leave it around till it gets a mum, rather than bringing it to the mizbeach as he's supposed to. But if there is a blemish on the bechor, it's a bechor b'amum, and according to Rish Lakish, it has to be so blemished that it was already okayed by a mumcha who gave the green light for shchita. So what happens to the sheddings of this bechor? So currently speaking, don't use it, because again, you might be inclined to, but once something happens, the bechor undergoes a transformation, either it dies or there is a shchita, we have a machlekes. According to Rabbi Yehuda, even if there was a shchita, which indicates that he's, intending on processing it and shechting and eating it, rather than leaving it around for its sheddings, even in that case, we have a machlekes. Akavi says it's okay. You see that he's intending on eating it, not leaving it around. Chacham say no. We're concerned that he might be inclined to leave it around. It's a asur. According to Rabbi Yossi, by shchita, all agree it's okay because of that mitigating factor. It's only by misa, when it just died naturally. In that case, we have machlekes. Chacham say asur, for concern that it might cause him to delay and leave the animal around, and Akavi says no. Fact is, once it's mace, there's no reason to disallow use of the sheddings. La'achar misa. Okay, all the best to you and atzlach.